The morning rush-hour subway train rumbled through the tunnels beneath Manhattan as 32-year-old tech entrepreneur Victoria Sterling tried desperately to calm her 6-month-old daughter Sophia, who had been crying inconsolably for the past 10 minutes. Victoria's designer blazer was wrinkled from shifting the baby, and her usual confidence had evaporated into exhaustion and growing panic. Victoria had built Sterling Digital from a college dorm room idea into a multi-million-dollar company, but none of her business acumen had prepared her for the mystery of why her perfectly healthy, well-fed baby refused to stop crying. The other passengers on the crowded train were beginning to stare, some with sympathy, but others with obvious irritation at the disruption to their morning commute. "Please, sweetheart, what's wrong?" Victoria whispered to Sophia, bouncing her gently while checking her diaper bag for anything that might help. She had fed her, changed her, tried singing softly, but nothing seemed to work. Sitting across the aisle was 38-year-old Marcus Rodriguez, a construction worker heading to a job site in Brooklyn. His work clothes were clean but worn, and the lunch cooler at his feet contained the sandwich he had packed before his 4-year-old daughter Isabella had woken up at his sister's apartment where they had been staying since he lost their previous housing. Marcus had been a single father for 2 years, ever since his wife Carmen had died in a car accident, and he recognized the particular cry that meant a baby was overstimulated rather than hungry or uncomfortable. He also recognized the look of a new parent who was overwhelmed and running out of options. For several minutes, Marcus watched Victoria struggle with her crying baby while other passengers shifted uncomfortably or put in earbuds to block out the sound. He could see the stress and embarrassment building in the young mother's face, and his parental instincts finally overrode his natural hesitancy to intrude on a stranger's situation. Standing up from his seat, Marcus approached Victoria with the gentle confidence of someone who had extensive experience with crying children. "Excuse me," he said softly. "I'm a dad myself. Would you mind if I tried something?" Victoria looked up at him with desperate relief in her eyes. She had noticed him earlier, this working-class man who seemed so different from her usual social circle. But now she saw only someone offering help when she needed it most. "Please," she said without hesitation. "I don't know what's wrong. She's been crying for almost 15 minutes and nothing I do seems to help." Marcus nodded understanding and gently took Sophia from Victoria's arms. The baby continued crying, but Marcus began a slow, rhythmic swaying motion combined with soft humming that he had perfected during Isabella's colicky phase. "Sometimes they just get overwhelmed by all the stimulation," Marcus explained quietly as he continued the gentle motion. "The lights, sounds, movement of the train, all the people. She's not upset about anything specific, just overstimulated." As if responding to his calm energy and experienced touch, Sophia's cries began to soften. Marcus adjusted his hold slightly, supporting her head against his shoulder while maintaining the gentle swaying rhythm. "There we go, little one," he murmured. "You're okay. Just too much excitement for such a small person." Victoria watched in amazement as her daughter's crying gradually subsided into hiccuping sniffles and then peaceful quiet. Other passengers on the train visibly relaxed as the crisis resolved, and several smiled approvingly at Marcus's intervention. "How did you do that?" Victoria asked in wonder as Marcus carefully transferred the now calm baby back to her arms. "Practice," Marcus replied with a modest smile. "My daughter Isabella went through a phase where this was the only thing that worked. You develop a feel for what they need. You're a father?" "Single dad for 2 years now," Marcus said, settling back into his seat as the train pulled into the next station. "It's challenging, but you learn to read the signals." Victoria found herself genuinely curious about this man who had just solved a problem that had stumped her completely. "What's your daughter's name?" "Isabella. She's 4, and she's the smartest, most stubborn little girl you'll ever meet," Marcus said with obvious pride and love. "She sounds wonderful," Victoria replied, looking down at Sophia, who was now contentedly looking around at her surroundings with the wide-eyed curiosity of a calm baby. As the train continued its journey, Victoria and Marcus found themselves talking with the easy conversation of two parents sharing common ground. Marcus told her about Isabella's love of books and her tendency to ask endless questions about everything she observed. Victoria shared her amazement at how motherhood had changed her perspective on everything from business priorities to the importance of sleep. "You know," Victoria said as they approached Marcus's stop, "I don't know how to thank you properly for what you just did." "No thanks needed," Marcus replied, gathering his lunch cooler. "Parents help parents. That's how it works." But as Marcus stood to leave the train, Victoria made an impulsive decision that would change both their lives. "Wait," she called out. "I'm sorry, this might sound strange, but would you be interested in a job? I run a tech company, and we're always looking for people with good problem-solving skills and the ability to stay calm under pressure." Marcus paused in the train doorway, clearly surprised by the offer. "Ma'am, I appreciate the thought, but I'm a construction worker. I don't have any background in technology." "You just demonstrated exactly the skills we need most," Victoria said earnestly. "The ability to assess a situation quickly, stay calm when others are panicking, and find creative solutions to complex problems. Those aren't technical skills. They're human skills. And they're much harder to teach." Marcus looked uncertain. "I'm not sure I'd fit in at a tech company." "Would you at least consider meeting with me to discuss it?" Victoria asked, pulling out her business card. "No pressure, just a conversation about possibilities." 3 days later, Marcus found himself in the gleaming offices of Sterling Digital. Wearing his best shirt and feeling completely out of place among the sleek modern furniture and young professionals typing intently at expensive computers. Victoria, however, saw something that her hiring managers often missed: the rare combination of practical intelligence, emotional stability, and genuine care for others that made someone valuable regardless of their formal education or previous experience. "Marcus, I want to offer you a position in our customer relations department," Victoria said after they had talked for an hour about his experience managing construction teams and solving complex logistical problems. "You'd be helping our clients work through technical issues, which requires exactly the kind of patience and problem-solving ability you showed with Sophia. The salary would be 40% more than your current income, with full health benefits and flexible scheduling that would let you pick up Isabella from school," she continued. "We believe that supporting our employees' family responsibilities makes for better, more committed team members." Marcus stared at her in disbelief. "Victoria, why are you doing this?" "You barely know me." "I know enough," Victoria replied. "I know you're someone who stops to help a stranger's crying baby on a crowded subway train. I know you're raising a daughter as a single parent while working in construction, which tells me you're responsible, hardworking, and resilient. And I know you solved a problem in 5 minutes that I couldn't figure out despite having every advantage in life." 6 months later, Marcus had become one of Sterling Digital's most valued customer service representatives, and Isabella was thriving in the after-school program that Victoria had helped establish for employee families. But more than the professional relationship, Victoria and Marcus had developed a deep friendship built on mutual respect and shared parenting experiences. Their daughters had become close friends, with 4-year-old Isabella serving as an enthusiastic big sister figure to baby Sophia. "You know what I learned from that day on the subway?" Victoria said one evening as they watched their daughters play together in Marcus's new apartment, which the job had allowed him to afford. "What's that?" Marcus asked, bouncing Sophia on his knee while Isabella showed them both a book she was reading. "That the most important qualifications for any job aren't on a resume. They're in how someone treats other people when no one is expecting anything from them." Marcus smiled, thinking about how dramatically his life had changed since that morning when he had simply done what felt natural and right. "I learned something too." "What?" "That sometimes the most important opportunities come disguised as moments when we choose to help someone else, without thinking about what we might get in return." Victoria nodded, watching Isabella patiently help Sophia stack building blocks. "The best business decisions I've ever made have been the ones that came from recognizing good character rather than impressive credentials." 2 years later, Marcus had been promoted to training coordinator, developing programs that taught new employees the customer service philosophy that had made him so successful. treating every interaction as an opportunity to solve someone's problem with patience, creativity, and genuine care. Victoria often told the story of meeting Marcus to other business leaders, emphasizing that some of the most valuable employees are the ones who demonstrate their worth through actions rather than words, and that the best hiring decisions often happen when we're brave enough to see potential in unexpected places. Sometimes the most important help we receive comes from the least likely sources, and sometimes the most successful business. Relationships begin with someone simply choosing to be kind when kindness is needed most. If this story reminded you that the most valuable people are often those who help others without expecting anything in return, please give it a like and share it with someone who believes in recognizing good character wherever it appears. Subscribe for more stories about unexpected opportunities and the power of human kindness, and let us know in the comments about a time when someone's simple act of help led to something meaningful in your life. Sometimes the most important qualifications can't be measured by traditional standards, but only by how someone chooses to treat others when it matters most.